Hola a todos, hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and if you are new here, my name is Karlita Rodriguez, and this is something that's really exciting. I'm starting something new here that I'm still debating if I'm going to keep in this channel or if I should migrate it to another, because something that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about what is going on in my life as well, kind of my lifestyle, things that I'm trying out, things that I'm learning, and it's just something that's really exciting. And yes, I will be talking obviously from what you see in the title. So, I'm gonna get to that, but let me know what you think, because I think that the channel or the series is gonna be called something like Karlita's Diaries or something like that. So I don't know, I'm still debating on that. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to come on here and just start to journal and vlog about this new chapter in my life, in our life, that has been going on. So yes, as you see in the title, I am pregnant, prego, embarazada, all the things. And so it's something that I found out earlier this year, and I will be talking about how that happened. But before I get to all that, the intention of this video is to kind of lead you into how I found out and my symptoms coming into this pregnancy up to 8 weeks. And then I'll be creating another video from the 8th to the end of the first trimester, because or else this video would get too long, because I have things kind of like a pre-story before I get to the news. So I want to go back to, so before I get started, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and go check out my podcast, Metafit Metamind podcast, and all the other things that I'm doing. So again, if you don't know me, my name is Karlita Rodriguez, and I'm actually a personal evolution coach, a trainer of neurolinguistic programming, master coach of hypnosis, timeline therapy, and also a doula, which is not something that I talk about all the time, but I realized going into this journey how important it is to have the conversations about birth and how to feel empowered along the way, along the pregnancy process, all the emotions that come up. So I'm going to be combining what I have learned along the way in my coaching skills along with doula work, and it's something that's really exciting for me. And anything that you want to know, questions, definitely let me know. I'll be trying to keep up with all the comments that I see. And yeah, so again, like and subscribe, and here we go. So let's go back to about 6-7 years ago. As a young woman, I wasn't ready to have children with a husband yet, and so we decided, all right, Karla, you're gonna get on birth control. So before I was on the second type of birth control, I was on the first one, which was a NuvaRing. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's like this little ring that is kind of bendy that you insert in the vagina and that you keep on for 3 weeks, and then you take off for a week so you can have your period during that week. By the way, there's going to be probably TMI, extra information, probably some embarrassing information along the way, because I want to be as open as I can, so I can help others to figure out what is going on with their body, and possibly even how to listen to your body as well. So I was on that, but what we discovered was that during intimacy, the husband and I, we discovered that sometimes the ring would fall out, and we're like, maybe we need to be a little more careful, so let's change this up. So I did my research, and I happened to find an ad or somewhere on the internet, or maybe I was watching a movie, I can't remember honestly, but the option to get on an IUD. And there's the copper ones, like the Mirena, and all those options, I think, which are 3 and 5 year options. But this one was a little different. This one, I believe, was called the Skyla. And what led me to this one was that the way that it was advertised and marketed was that it's intended for women who had never given birth, and it was hormonal as well, which I didn't know a lot about hormonal birth control versus the not. And I said, all right, let me do that. And the option that I had was for 3 years, so I opted for that, and I had my first IUD, and that was placed for 3 years. Then at the end of those 3 years, I said, okay, it's time for me to get this one taken out and renew it, basically, or get a new one, because we're still not ready to have a baby. So And we talked about should we not, just different things in life, take over. And I don't know if you've done your research on this. I didn't do my research, and let me know in the comments what birth control you've used, how that helped, didn't help, what that experience was like for you. I'm curious what that experience has been like for you. So comment below if you have any comments on that, any knowledge. So what I did was that I scheduled an appointment with my OBGYN. It's a women's center here in Austin, Texas. I went and got that one taken out, but the same day I had a new one placed. So that's the thing that I wasn't sure of, if I should have waited to like reset my body or if that was fine. They said it was fine, but I don't know, people's bodies are all different. And so, yes, so the new one was placed, and this one was a little bit different in the sensation, how it felt, and this one actually caused me cramps from the beginning. And then I realized that during those first year and a half, I was crampy, and I had never been crampy before. So I was like, all right, that's different, but I don't know if it's because I'm 3 years older, like my body is still changing, hormones change, all the things. Maybe the way that this OB placed it compared to the first one, who knows? So I'm coming into at the end of the second year, and then there was a moment at the end of 2021, around September, October, in which I started experience intense pain, like intense cramping that I had not experienced before. I, then started to have really heavy periods. Luckily, I work from home, but still, I was like, that's not normal, weird. So I started to kind of connect some dots, and I was like, maybe it's my birth control. What could it possibly be? 3 months were heavy. I told my husband, I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna probably get this taken out. It's really messing with my body. But then January came around of 2022, and it started to kind of be normal again. Now, the difference was that I was still having really heavy cramping before my period. I normally would get these cramps 2 weeks before. So then all of a sudden it wasn't normal again, and just like I started to be really tired. So I made an appointment with the OB, and I said, hey, I think it's time for me to get this taken out because it's just doing weird things to my body. So come March of 2022, I go to the OB, and I'm ready I get called into the office, and they start to go in there ready to get the IUD out. And then they asked me, while I'm there, and they have the ultrasound machine too, they said, hey Karla, when's the last time that you felt a string? Because you're supposed to feel a string. And I was like, oh, maybe a couple weeks ago. They're like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I actually don't remember at this point now. They're like, well, we can't find it. And I was like, what do you mean you can't find it? They're like, yeah, we can't find it. Seems like you're okay, but we're gonna refer you to get an ultrasound both over the abdomen and transvaginally. So I did that, made an appointment with the sonographer or the ultrasound tech. I went there, and I'm just there, the girls doing the ultrasound, both over and transvaginal ultrasound. And I'm just waiting, hoping she would tell me something. She's kind of there. She has the machine. I didn't see anything. And I was so curious, and I wanted to ask her if she sees anything. She's like, oh, I can't say anything, but the specialist will look at this and send the information to your OB, to your practice. And I said, oh, okay. This was like a Thursday, and I didn't hear anything on Friday. So I had to wait till Monday to hear anything from the practice. I'm over here worried, like, what is going on? Did this IUD move around in my body? What if it got lost somewhere? I get the call Monday. They're like, yeah, you're good, you're clear. It's not anywhere in your body, so you're good. And I said, okay. And I kind of just took that, and I said, all right, I guess I'm okay. They said I'm okay, so I accepted it. After that, I knew that my hormones were not okay, so I actually also work at a holistic health practice, helping clients detox, helping them release their trauma and stuck negative emotions that cause symptoms in their body. So the cool thing is that there's a lot of coaches and guides that I can go to. And I asked them, hey, this has been going on with my body, what do you recommend? And so what I did is I actually took a Dutch test, which is a hormonal test. And those results came out they surprised me. I had an appointment with one of the coaches who is certified in seeing all of this stuff. She's the nutrition and biological coach, and she looked at my data and she's like, Karla, how old are you? And I'm like, 30. Well, your levels of your hormones, they're surprising because at your age, they shouldn't be at this level. They were at premenopausal levels. And I'll probably post a picture here somewhere so you can see how low those were. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, I knew that my IUD was doing something and I didn't know that maybe it affected me that much. So she's like, yeah, it's gonna make it hard for you to possibly, if you ever want to have a kid right now, you know, to conceive, things like that, even your energy levels, because your testosterone is low, because as women we also produce testosterone. I was like, oh, okay. Like, that was shocking. That was a little disheartening because at my age I shouldn't be going through that. And I said, all right. So I kind of started to take that on. And I told the husband, I was like, hey, you know, I was like, you don't have to worry. You know, my levels of hormones are not great, but I have some supplements that I was recommended. And, you know, also we don't have to worry about having a kid this year because my levels are just not allowing me to. My body is not going to allow me to have a kid. So he said, huh, okay. He's like, well, we'll still be careful, whatever. So I said, yeah, that's fine. And, you know, we went most of the year like that. My hormones have been still weird the rest of the year. And around September, October of last year, my sister-in-law with my two nephews, they moved in with us for a while. All of a sudden, she would have cramps and I would have cramps. So we would start to sync up, which is the way she described it. And so our cycles started to be the same. And I said, all right, like now I'm getting a little more regular. She was regular as well. And, you know, we would joke and stuff like, oh, we're syncing up again. Cool. You feel this, you feel that. Yeah. PMSing. Yeah. You know, all the things. It was kind of really, really interesting to be experiencing that and have someone to talk to, you know, as we're experiencing this. So that happened. Then December happens. You know, I have my period in November. December happens and I start to feel cramps again, on and off, pretty intense cramps in December from the beginning, yo. And then around December 10th, I have my period. And I tell my sister, and I'm like, hey, I was like, you know, I actually started my period a little early. I thought it was weird because it was supposed to happen on the Christmas weekend. And yeah, like it was supposed to happen Christmas weekend, but it's early. And you know, it wasn't super weird, but I was like, oh, that's odd. Because technically I was supposed to have my period around the Christmas weekend. But then the other weird part was that it really only lasted about 2, maybe 3 days. And I said, all right, it was early. It only lasted 2 or 3 days. But maybe it'll come back. Maybe my body's just, again, my hormones, they're just doing funny things. I kept blaming it on my hormones. Well, of course, it had to do with my hormones. And so I still kept cramping during my period. And then thereafter. So that was the weird part, that had never happened to me, of experiencing the cramps before, during, and after. That was the odd part. So I actually messaged one of the girls that I work with at the holistic health practice, and I asked her, I was like, hey, like, you know, let's see what I actually asked her. I'm looking at my notes here. I said, hey, I have a question. I said, you know how my hormones have been all wonky and shit? Well, since about a month ago, I've been having pain and cramps before, during, and after my period. Is there any tips or something that you can think can help? And she said, oh no, you know, I would be curious what your hormones are doing. Estrogen can play a role in cramping. So is your estrogen increasing? If so, why? Did you do any additional lab work after the Dutch test to find the root cause of the hormone imbalance? I would look for toxins as well to start with. She said I may need to detox. In the meantime, look up hormone balancing foods, things like chia, flax, and pumpkin seeds, salmon, avocado, etc. So she gave me those small tips and I completely forgot about them. I forgot to tell her anything. And this was early in, actually, the day that I asked her the question was the day that I found out, which is very interesting. I thought I sent her a message before in December, but it was actually January 3rd. So, you know, that day I was like, okay, like I started Googling, and you know, when we Google, we get into like interesting spaces and all these rabbit holes and things like that. So I Googled, I looked up, I found things on, you know, endometriosis and possibly ectopic pregnancies and just like all this weird stuff. And here's where it all kind of starts to be like, whoa, like this is actually happening. So on that day in the evening, I went to drop off my, this is one of the symptoms. I went to drop off my stepson, and when I was coming back home, I was like, you know what, let me start checking things off. So when I make an appointment with the OBGYN, the women's center, I let them know, hey, I already took this, here's a picture of that. So I went to Walgreens here in Austin, Texas, and I bought a pregnancy test. And I said, all right, let me just start checking these things off. And when I got home, I didn't say anything to anybody. Husband was home. He's like, oh, where'd you go? I was like, oh, I went to Walgreens to get something real quick. He's like, all right. Didn't ask me much. So what I did, I went to the bathroom and, I took this thing and made sure to read the instructions. The instructions say, wait like 3 to 5 minutes. So I peed on that stick, and the thing started to show something pretty immediately, but I was like, nope, let me put it to the side and let me just wait the 5 minutes. So I sat at the edge of my tub and I just waited and I waited. And finally I look at this and I look at it, 2 lines. I'm like, no, like what the fudge? I didn't say fudge, I said the other word. I was like, okay. I was like, maybe I did this wrong. It's nighttime. Normally it's better, it's more accurate in the mornings. So I'm gonna wait till then. Couldn't wait. Waited about 3 hours. Took the second one because it was like a 2-pack. And that one immediately showed positive. And I was like, all right, what am I gonna do now? So I started researching at night, places around town and stuff, and I found some places where I could possibly go take a pregnancy test. And I even drove around town, and I found this place. It's a pregnancy resource center, actually luckily close to my house, which is like 10 minutes away. And I was there immediately at the time that they opened, or around 5 minutes after they opened. And I went in there and I said, hey, do y'all have time to take somebody in to do a urine test and double check this? And they're like, well, have you taken one? And I lied. I told them no, because I don't know, I think I was hoping that they would take me much faster, or that I was clueless. And what they said, they're like, well, we don't have time today. So what you can do is you can buy an in-home pregnancy test and see what's up. And I made an appointment for the next day, which would have been the 5th. So I drove to Target. I bought the clear blue instead of the pink one. I forgot what that one's called. And I was like, you know what? Let me maybe a different test is what I need. I took that one. I couldn't wait till I got to my house. I took the test at Target, and immediately I saw the results positive. So that's 3 tests already, yo. 2 on the 3rd, 1 on the 4th, and then finally on Thursday the 5th, I went to the pregnancy center, or the test center, and I did the urine test. I waited in the office, and the nurse comes in. She's like, yep, it's positive, congratulations. And I was like, oh my god, like, wow. And let me tell you, there's a lot of emotions happening. I'm not even sure what emotions. It was like, what the fuck? And like, okay, and happiness, and now what? And oh my gosh, is this really happening? How did this happen? I thought my body couldn't do this. All of these like things just at a speed of light. And I was like, all right. So I left that place. She said, congratulations. And I was like, okay, now how do I tell my husband? Because I got a little worried. I got a little anxious. I was like, what if he's mad? Like, we weren't even preparing for this, because yes, this is an oopsie baby, and that's okay. We always talked about if that were to happen, then, we do what we do. We take care of the baby, right? And so I was like, oh my god, like, he's gonna stress out. There's a lot of things that he's always dealing with at work and people. And I was like, okay, like, do I tell him today? Do I wait? What do I do? And so I decided to, let me tell him. And I drove to Cabela's, and I was like, okay, like, what can I do? How can I surprise him today with these results? And I'll post a picture on like what I got from there. But I bought some Targets, I bought a onesie, and then at the center they gave me like these baby booties, like crocheted, which I thought were cool, as a gift, as a congratulations. And then and the way I surprised him, I also had a positive test. So that's what happened. And so that day I was supposed to meet him. So he was a little mad at me already because I was late to meet him for dinner with his cousin and himself. We're gonna go have pizza. So, but I was at home like preparing this box of what I was gonna put in there to surprise him. And so I told him, and he was happy. That made me really emotional. I may post a little clip here of, you know, how he reacted, or maybe a separate video. I don't know yet.
No way! We're pregnant, baby!
So yeah, so that's what happened. And so he wanted to tell his mom and my mom. He told his brother. He told his best friend. I told my friend Ashton as well, because she was worried about what my body was doing. Yeah, so on Friday we let our moms know. They were both shocked. They were both happy. I'm not even going to go into the details on how we told them, but my mom essentially couldn't move from her spot when I told her, and she got emotional and stuff. My mother-in-law, I needed to show her proof. There's another story behind that, but it was cool. And so now here we go. So I found out at 6 weeks that I was pregnant. And that following Sunday, after I told my husband, we went to Barton Springs, which is a natural pool that's 67 degrees all year long, every season, all day, every day. And that day we were also intimate. So that following week, 6 weeks and a few days, I started to have spotting. And I've been cramping on and off again. My cramps have continued, which has been a very interesting and a little bit worrisome symptom to have. But I said, you know, okay, like, it's not consistent. I'm not like bleeding like period or anything. But I started spotting that following week. I was like, what? I was like, I just let my family, my mom, my family know, and now this is happening. Oh my God. Going to worst case scenario. I started Googling again. I'm telling you, if you're gonna go to worst case scenario, please avoid Googling or searching things online. Just stay positive. You know, listen to your body, rest if you need to. And so I started to get really worried because it was spotting every single day, but it wasn't heavy like I needed to change pads or anything, like, period. So I want to say like second or third day after I was spotting, I let the pregnancy resource center, because they have nurses, know like, hey, this is happening, I'm really worried. A nurse called me. She said, yeah, it could be implantation, it could be this, you know, sometimes some women experience this, sometimes not. The cramping also, sometimes yes, sometimes no. There's no real answers in this beginning stage of pregnancy. Let me tell you, I'm a doula, so intellectually, consciously, I know a lot about pregnancy and birth and babies. I feel like I don't know anything. Like, I'm a new student to this, and just the way that I've experienced it. So after we went to Barton Springs, my breast started to really hurt. Like, they were already sensitive the previous days, but even more, like really sensitive. And then once we got into week 7, the spotting, let me see, the spotting kept happening, brownish color. I'm not even going to show that. You can Google spotting and stuff, or don't. It's your choice. The cramping had been waking me up like 4 to 5 times a night. I was probably sleeping 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours at max, because I kept waking up with cramps and just like couldn't sleep. Some insomnia that was happening. I actually ordered a body pillow early, even though I'm not showing yet, because I was like, maybe this helps me sleep better. No, the pain would like wake me up like I got punched in the stomach. It was intense. And I normally would say that I'm pretty good with dealing with pain, but this one was so like annoying. So that was one of the symptoms that I was having, was the cramps, the breast tenderness. The other cramp that's a little bit embarrassing to say, and maybe TMI, but I'm gonna share it anyway, because if you are like on Baby Center or pregnancy or like all these sites, you know, they'll tell you that some of the symptoms that happen is that women can, their digestive system slows down. So what I researched, you know, first trimester women's digestive system slows down, or there starts to be some digestive issues, which I think is also something that I didn't notice or became aware of until after that in December. Whenever I would have a bowel movement, it wasn't like normal bowel movements. Like, it was a little bit more like constipation, or it never felt like I was done. Like, I would go most of the day because I would be very small bowel movement. And so due to the hormone changes, this is what the internet says, This may be due to shifting hormones, dietary changes, new medications, prenatal vitamins, and stress, and those digestive systems and issues. And for me, I haven't experienced constipation. I actually experienced the opposite. I experienced diarrhea during this first trimester, which has been worrisome and at the same time annoying, but they only happen in the morning. I maybe not long after I would wake up, I'd have to go to the bathroom, and not even like, oh my god, I gotta run, but when I would go, that's what was happening when I would have a bowel movement. The other thing for me that has been, I just wanted to sleep, just wanting to sleep most of the day in between calls, because as you know, I coach, and so whenever I could, I sleep. I'm just like fatigued all the time. I've had lack of motivation as well, in which I just haven't had that like drive that I normally have to get stuff done. It's been so weird. I actually had to get myself to record this video because I had been putting it off. And also the last symptom that I would say that I had a little bit of acne in the beginning. I don't have any right now, but like my face started to break out in spaces or places that I never break out in. Normally I break out here, and I started breaking out in my cheeks, which I thought was interesting. So those have been my symptoms up until into week 7 before getting to week 8. So again, these have been breast tenderness, at the beginning a little bit of constipation, but then it quickly switched to diarrhea, the cramping that radiates from the front to the back, lack of sleep, but then during the day wanting to sleep all day, lack of motivation, and the acne. So those have been, and the spotting. So those have been some of my like symptoms that I've experienced. Everybody, experiences things differently. Let me know what you experienced, within those weeks of finding out. Maybe how early did you find out in your pregnancy that you were pregnant? And also like, what happened up until week 7 before week 8, if there are, you know what? I forgot one. The last symptom that I experienced was actually lack of wanting to eat, this food aversion. So I love seafood and salmon. Ugh. And just talking about it just feels gross. Like I have not wanted it. Most proteins I didn't want, and so I wasn't eating as much. And so as a result, I lost about 8 pounds within 2 weeks of finding out that I was pregnant. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm starting a little less weight, right? But it was just interesting that the foods that I really enjoyed have just not been something that I've been wanting to eat. So yes, those have been the symptoms. Again, share with me what symptoms you've experienced, how it was when you first found out. Was it shocking? Were you expecting it? I wasn't expecting it, but I'm actually really happy about this, and just excited, to be welcoming a new life into our family. Our families actually were like, finally, because years they had been waiting for me to like, hey, tell them news and stuff. But me and the husband have been together for 10 years this year and married for 4. So, to them it's been a long time. To me, I was like, oh, okay, like I didn't know that we were going to have a baby. We weren't against it, but we also weren't like, all right, let's go for it. I'm blessed, I'm grateful, and the things that are happening in my body, I'm still grateful for, because I get to talk about something that not many people are experiencing, right? Some of these symptoms that some people may not actually have. Again, the cramping and the spotting and the diarrhea honestly have been some of the things that you don't hear a lot about online. I YouTubed so many videos. I love hearing people's stories on how you found out, and not a lot of talk about the other side of the digestive issues. So it's been interesting. If you're wondering, today I'm 10 weeks and a day. So whenever you see this video, I'll definitely be further along, but I just wanted to share this because I actually haven't made the announcement yet to the family. At this point, when you're watching this video, obviously I've made the announcement. I still don't know how I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna share another video so this doesn't get too long, and I'm gonna be talking about weeks 8 to the end of the first trimester. and I'll tell you about, just other choices that we're making and what I'm learning along the way. Also, I'm going to be talking about confidence during this time and stories we tell ourselves and emotions, things that we need to process before welcoming a new baby, because it's very important. Again, it's one of my specialties that I do, that I work with, is really getting in touch with the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings, the physiology that's going on in your life. And sometimes we get into this tunnel vision. So I'll be talking about, how to have a better experience along the way, even if it's not always comfortable. So if you have any questions on anything, let me know. Comment your experiences. I had questions about birth controls that you've used in the past, how you found out about your pregnancy, and also what your symptoms have been from, 0 to 7 weeks, right before 8th week. So thank you so much for watching up to this point. Again, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much. So till next time.